Hello, hello. See if I'm going live here in the group. Waiting for it to tell me that I'm going live. Okay. Hi, guys. Today is the first day of the Be For You Wellness Week, and I'm going to be talking about endocrine disruption, which basically is your hormones. Your hormone system is a network of glands that regulate everything you do, and the system is called your endocrine system. And it helps control our mood, our growth, the way our organs work, our metabolism, and even our reproduction. So the bad news is, however, that the world that we live in is causing us to have this disruption, and our systems are super sensitive. And the synthetic chemicals that are produced from things like plastics and fragrance and household chemicals, even pesticides on our food, can influence our hormone function. And so today I just wanted to go through a couple of the top 12 that I'm going to go through this week. I'm going to go through 2 of them today. I'm going to explain what they are, where you find them, and how you can avoid them. But first I wanted to give you a little bit of background on our hormone system, because it's important for you to understand why it impacts our health so much. So stick with me on this. Today's a little more technical than the rest of this week, but it's important for you to have this background so that you know why you should even care about the products and things that you're taking in, eating, rubbing on yourself, cleaning with, things like that. The endocrine system is a system that's got different glands that secrete hormones, and the body uses it to control things like your breathing, your metabolism, your reproduction, your sensory perception, like how you sense or how do you feel your surroundings, your movement, how you move your body, your sexual development, and your growth. And each gland has a different function in it. And I want to read really quickly what those glands are. You probably remember them back from biology, but you've got your hypothalamus, which is one of the body's big thermal regulators. It controls our body temperature. So if your hypothalamus gets damaged from endocrine disruption, you can have body dysregulation in your body heat. It's not just women that have hot flashes, guys can have them too, and it could be related to just having toxic load too high. It also regulates your thirst, your appetite, your weight, your emotions, your sleep cycle, your sex drive, your blood pressure, and your heart rate. That's all in the hypothalamus. Your pineal gland regulates the secretion of melatonin, which you probably have heard that mentioned when it comes to sleep. But it also regulates your circadian rhythm, which is your sleep-wake cycle, which is how your body is up during the day in the light and when it should be sleeping at night. Got a whole nother training on circadian rhythm, but that's really important. The pituitary gland is your master control gland, and its functions triggers growth. Your thyroid gland, which a lot of people, I keep running into people with thyroid issues, produces hormones that are associated with your metabolism, your energy generation, and your mood. And then your parathyroid, which sits at the back of your thyroid, there's 4 of them, helps control your calcium metabolism, and it helps determine how strong your bones are. So that is something, if you are suspicious of osteoporosis, that would be something that they would look at, is your parathyroid. Your adrenal gland produces your hormones that help regulate your metabolism, your immune system, your blood pressure, your response to stress, which I'm sure you've all heard about adrenaline and your stress response. Your pancreas produces your insulin and helps control your carbohydrate metabolism and your blood sugar. Your ovaries are for the women. That's where the female sex hormones are produced, which is your estrogen, testosterone, and your progesterone. And then the testes in men, where they secrete the male hormone testosterone and produce sperm. And your hormone production is tightly regulated and can be easily disturbed by endocrine disruptors, which is something that I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about. So what are some things that can happen when you have endocrine disruption? First off, which I thought was really interesting the more I learned about this, is it can increase the production of certain hormones, and it can decrease the production of other hormones. That's where the dysregulation comes in. It can also imitate if these products come into your body that can imitate a hormone, so you can actually be tricking your body that you have too much estrogen by what you're taking in your environment. It can interfere with the signaling that's going on between the hormones and the glands in your body and your cells. It can tell the cells to prematurely die. It can compete with nutrient absorption. So if that disruptor's in the place where the nutrients would be trying to get in, it can compete or block that. It can also bind to other essential hormones, so it kind of clogs up the system by binding on other ones that you need. And it can accumulate in organs that produce hormones. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you a little bit about was the first one is BPA. I'm sure you've probably heard of it, and if you haven't, it's called Bisphenol A. It typically is found in plastic. It's the building blocks of what's called the polycarbonate plastic. So it's often used in things like food beverage storage containers. So I'm sure if you do any type of to-go kind of coffee, this would be familiar to you. It's like the styrofoam and the plastic lids and things like that. That's where you're going to find BPA. It's also in the lining inside like cans. It's that slickery kind of lining that's inside there. And you can also find it in like plastic water bottles and things like that. Unless they say they don't have it in it, which sometimes they do. Some companies have pulled out the BPA. But basically what it is, it's a chemical that it imitates the sex hormones. So like for instance, it's going to trick your body into, if you consume a lot of those products, it's going to trick your body and make it think that it has a lot of estrogen. And basically it can also it can be linked to things like breast cancer, reproductive problems like polycystic ovarian syndrome, where you have cysts on your ovaries, early puberty, obesity, cardiovascular issues, prostate cancer. It's been linked to lots of different things like that. So what this is it's a load kind of thing. What I mean by that is if you're one of those people that gets Starbucks every day and you're drinking out of a styrofoam cup with a plastic lid and the coffee's like nuclear level and you're getting plastic, the plastic's heated up and it's giving off some of the plastic gases, you're exposing yourself to more of it. If you're eating a lot of canned foods where this BPA would be getting into your system, or you spend a lot of time drinking or using a lot of plastic, it's kind of like an accumulative thing. So I want to give you some tips on how to reduce your BPA. Instead of purchasing canned food, you maybe look for something like this. This is one of the things I like to buy is cartons of things. So I've taken out the metal piece of it, which I've eliminated getting exposed to the metal that's in the cans. But this is like particular, this is a brand is called Jack's Quality, and they make it in a carton. This is a BPA-free carton. And they also talk a little bit on the side about getting rid of cans and using cartons. They're easier to store, they're easier to recycle, and they don't clutter up the earth with like a can that's going to last forever, because this paper is recyclable. And this company's put a lot of research into making sure that their products break down based off how they have manufactured them. So that is something that you can look for, is BPA-free kind of cartons. The other thing you can do when it comes to food is you can purchase frozen food, like frozen fruit or frozen vegetables. They're frozen, they're not in these plastic and metal kind of canned situations. That's a good way to do it. And don't trust that they're BPA free unless it actually says it on there. The other place that you can get BPA is actually from receipts. This has BPA on it. It's coated with it. It's how they make them. They're thermal receipts. So as much as you can, have them like put the receipt in the bag instead of you grabbing it and putting it in your purse or stuffing it into your pocket or whatever and touching it. Just have them put it in the bag. Or if it's a situation where you know you're not going to be returning it and you don't need the receipt, just tell them to toss it. Then you don't even have to touch it. If you touch it, just wash your hands. If you spend a lot of time with receipts, if you're in a job like that, you may want to find some type of a glove that you can use when you're spending a lot of time doing that. but just wash your hands. But just know that that BPA gets onto your skin and gets into your skin pretty quickly. So just keep that in mind with the receipts. And then never ever ever put plastic in like the microwave. So if you have like anything that is plastic, take it out of the container. Like if you get like a plastic, a meal that's in plastic, don't microwave it in there, because the plastic just heats up and it gives off fumes and particles that get into your food. So don't drink out of plastic water bottles that have been heated up in the car, things like that. Just really try to avoid plastics as much when it comes into contact with the food that you're drinking, or the drinks that you're drinking, or the food that you're eating. The second chemical I wanted to talk about is dioxin. Dioxin is mainly found in byproducts of industrial processes when chlorine or bromine are burned in the presence of carbon and oxygen. And these chemicals can disrupt the delicate balance in our female and male sex hormone signaling. So they're particularly harmful during like a prenatal period of time or early life development, where they can permanently affect like a sperm quality or a low sperm count in males. And these chemicals are long-lived, which means they stay in our body and in our food chain for a really long time. Long-term exposure has been linked to impairment of the immune system and developing nervous system, and they're also highly toxic to our bodies. It's really difficult to get them out, and they've been linked to cancer. So one of the ways that you want to try to avoid dioxin is to make sure that you are, as much as you can, trying to eat a plant-based diet, because the more food we eat that comes from an animal, they've found that that has a lot more dioxin in it. So just shifting your diet more towards a plant-based and away from eating a lot of animal foods, and then adopting a diet that is using the Dirty Dozen list, which is put out by the Environmental Working Group. They put out a list annually that tells you the most sprayed produce, because dioxins are also found in the pesticides and herbicides. And so if you have that list of the top 12 foods that you should always try to purchase organic if you can source them and afford them, try to do that. Even if you just started there, there's a statistic that just eating those 12 foods organic, you can drop your toxic load in your body by 80%, even just within a couple of weeks, even days. You also want to try to make sure that when you're cleaning, and first of all, if you can avoid using bleach, I would suggest picking natural cleaners or making your own. There's all kinds of supernatural cleaners that you can use, but avoiding bleach, because once bleach has come into contact with like an organic compound, that's when it's giving off the dioxin. It's a kind of a chemical reaction. So we smell it after the bleach is going on to things. That's when we're getting that vapor and we're getting exposed to it. So those are the two things that I wanted to show you. The other thing you want to do when you're buying things too is try to purchase things that are in glass. There isn't any chemicals that are going to be coming from the glass, but there are chemicals coming from the cans, especially if they're old cans and they're really leaking, or a plastic that could get hot, like a case of water on a hot truck or something like that. And going for things like this coconut milk that's in a carton, just really trying as much as you can avoiding plastic, especially single-use plastics. So carry a water bottle with you, a ceramic one or a glass one. Stainless steel is great. So you can get your coffee. You go to Starbucks, you like their coffee, bring your own cup, pour your coffee in the cup. Then you don't have to deal with this. And maybe even, I don't know because I'm not a coffee drinker, but they might even, I know that they have different drinks that you can hand them, and as long as it's clean, they'll put your coffee in it. So just simple swaps that you can do can help you just reduce your toxic load. And that's what this whole week is about, is to tell you why they're not good for you, where you find them, and how you can avoid them. I hope this has been helpful for you. Please let me know if you liked this live, and come back tomorrow to learn a little bit more about the the top 12 endocrine disruptors. Good night, guys. Be for you. Bye.